What's up, Internet? Thanks for joining us for another episode of Puwede Magtanong, episode 5. And before we begin, I just want to say thank you again to ASUS. Yung headset ko ngayon, ASUS. And if you follow the Facebook, alam mo na sira yung desktop ko. So yung gamit ko ngayon, yung laptop na pinahiram ni ASUS for the stream. So we'll really see kung kaya ba ng performance niya. But let's get to the questions. And thanks so much everyone for joining us. First question. Ay, what happened to the questions? First question. Okay, there we go. Takot ako. I'm a small-time builder having a hard time, TM to sa amin, having a hard time troubleshooting a problem for a client, and he just can't seem to fix it. While playing YouTube and setting the video settings at 1080p and then naka full screen, may parang green screen distortion. But okay naman siya sa 4K reso. The specs are medyo entry-level, MSI A320, R52600, 16GB RAM, RX 570. So ayun, parang at 1080p may green, kumbaga may green screen stutter.
But this is, I was the one who handled this inquiry. His problem is, kasi he sent a video, the screenshot kasi doesn't showcase the problem. His problem is there are green bars that show up on his YouTube, but the problem only shows on YouTube. Games, perfect. And if he changes the resolution in YouTube, nawawala yung problema. So the question is, what could be causing the problem if it's just on YouTube lang? My initial thoughts are it must be a software-related problem because the games are working fine. And the moment you change the resolution on YouTube, the problem vanishes. So that all points to me as a software, not a hardware problem. What does the panel think?
I just want to say hi to Warren Bernabe who liked our stream, but go ahead.
Rocky, sorry, I'm a bit confused. So, mayroon siyang, he said the specs was RX 570, so his problems was with the RX 570. Pero when he switched to RX 580, walang problem. Tama ba?
No, he really has RX 570. Yan yung spec ng green.
You know, when it became okay when he replaced it with an RX 580.
Oo nga, no?
You know, parang
replacing the vid card with the ones I have, pero okay naman when I installed RX.
You're right.
Thank you to Marvin Merencilio for sharing the stream. Oo nga, no? Nung pinalit niya yung graphics cards to RX 580, okay naman.
Well, actually, yes, sir. Go ahead, Mark.
Because I think I recall it happening to me once na parang biglang YouTube was having issues, and what I seem to remember what I did was I tried turning on and off yung hardware acceleration dun sa browser. I think may ganun na setting.
Sa Chrome?
Yeah, sa Chrome. That's what I remember.
I selected this question because we had another person who encountered the same problem. YouTube din. I've never encountered it, and it's such a weird problem to have. So that's why I wanted to bring it up. Ikaw, RJ, have you encountered something similar?
Yeah, I think when I was back in college, that would happen when buffering was not so great. Yeah, but definitely it sounds like a software issue because just the fact that turning the resolution in YouTube alone. So it could be as simple as like we're all just guessing out actually without being able to put our hands on the actual PC, but it could just be an extension problem. It could just be a Chrome issue if he's using Chrome, or a browser issue basically, or a driver issue.
So if anyone has a similar problem, I would just volunteer and just say that they should just reformat. I mean the safe side, then just re-download all of it. Maybe it's a bad GPU driver download lang and bad GPU driver install.
Right.
Definitely it would be the GPU, and I think it's more software than hardware. Because when he changed the graphics card, for sure he also changed the drivers because it's a different graphics card altogether. So that's how maybe the solution came about.
I just want to say thanks to Hattori, Joshua, and Al Jericho for sharing the streams on Facebook, for sharing Puwede Magtanong. Actually, I'd be curious kung maka-follow up tayo dito kung if it's just YouTube, like are there any other video apps that are that are showing the green screen? Baka kung naka VLC siya, tas may green screen din. But yeah, I echo na baka it's a driver thing or something. I mean, that's usually the first step that you do if you try to resolve a video issue. I don't know. You guys wanna any other steps you might wanna encourage?
I guess before he reinstalls everything, he tries it on another browser first. So that if kung sa Chrome lang talaga, then sa Chrome na lang muna siya mag reinstall. If ayaw talaga sa Chrome, then that's when he nukes his entire driver.
Yeah, just update drivers. Try, as what Marvin said, try 2 or 3 browsers, even try running some games.
Yeah.
And if it just shows up in that one specific browser, you've already ruled it out.
Next question. Keep malakas po ba kumain ng kuryente ang gaming PC? Actually, I chose this kasi a lot of people do ask kung kamusta, how much power do these computers use? Usually, then just a rule of thumb, like a 1 horsepower aircon is usually 1 kilowatt. So, you have PSUs na 1,000 watts, that's 1 kilowatt. But usually, kahit yung gaming PC, naka 750 watts lang yun. And even then, it's not 750 watts all the time. So, definitely less than, on the average, definitely less than a 1 horsepower aircon. But maybe you guys have done actual measurements. Like, alam ko si Marvin, mahilig mag-measure ng mga ganyan. Do you have any specific benchmarks that you've done in the past?
I did a couple of months ago. Even on idle or on non-gaming this is for an Ryzen 2600 and RX 480 with 1 hard drive lang and no RGB, air cooling lang. 200 watts, less than 200 watts. And then when I started playing Witcher 3, minsan pumapalo ng 300 to 400.
That's not bad actually. I mean, consumption wise.
Yung 1 horsepower, that's siguro pag nakaano ka na nun, 3080 ka na nun or
yeah. When you're doing like 1,000 watts.
Yeah, it really boils down to what you're using. I mean, I remember, I think borrowing Rocky's video card one for a few months one time. It was a 6990, 100% that brought the electricity bill up. And it sounded like a jet, but that was so strong. That was the most powerful video card ever.
Sulit naman yung performance.
Grabe yun.
Actually, the best way talaga to check is to buy a measure like this one.
Yeah, like a watt measure.
Regulator.
I have a watt measure here. You can actually get it off Zad and Shopee. You can plug in for a week. It will tell you more or less your consumption. And then after that, you just multiply the number that shows up there to your Meralco, like how much it is per kilowatt hour dun sa Meralco. So in the end, that's what counts.
Yeah, a lot of people ask this really electric consumption, and yeah, the safest way would be to get a watt measure and really see, or yun nga, yung like last Pwede Magtanong may nagtanong na is there like a way to measure it digitally sa software? Tapos yun nga yung Corsair i-series, pero yung sobrang mahal, yung ginastos mo dun sa PSU na yun, pwede mo gamitin sa kuryente mo. So, next question from Elroy. I'm using Z490F Gaming. I currently have an M.2 from Samsung, 500GB. Since I have a vacant slot for one more M.2, planning on adding another one, will it be okay kung ginamit ko yung vacant slot for 970 Evo Plus or black NVMe? So basically both NVMe's. So basically tanong niya, naka M.2 na siya na normal and then magdadagdag pa siya ng isa pang NVMe. Will that cause performance issues with the new NVMe? Will it cause a problem in terms of compatibility?
from my understanding, there's one M.2 slot and then there's one NVMe slot, but not necessarily M.2. But either way, actually, I think usually nowadays, motherboards come in with one single M.2 slot right behind the video card, and there are others that have two, but those aren't exactly. You really have to double check on the specs of the motherboard online. Those aren't exactly two NVMe slots. One can just be SATA. It could be using a SATA lane. Even if it's complicated, even if it's an NVMe slot.
Yeah, I think the concern is...
it won't really affect because they're using different bandwidths.
Parang the concern is sometimes kinakain nung isa, yung isa pang bandwidth nung isa. So, bibili siya nung mabilis tapos di pala kaya kasi yun nga, parang nagka-clog up dun sa PCIe lanes. But it really, parang kailangan mo i-check sa sa motherboard.
Well, actually, for his motherboard, he has no other choice. He can't use two M2 SATA because his motherboard is what RJ was talking about, where different lanes yung ginagamit nung M2 slots niya. One M2 slot can use both NVMe and SATA. The other one can only use NVMe. So since he's already using one SATA M.2, the only thing that he can plug in is an NVMe. So he really has no choice if he wants to use both M2 slots.
Tsaka in those kinds of motherboards, I guess walang one lane doesn't steal from the other lane. I mean, it should be, di ba? Parang...
Yeah. Parang it will steal from the SATA, the other SATA plugs. It won't steal from each other.
From the M.2.
Yeah.
M.2s.
And medyo high-end naman. Tricks tong ano niya eh.
Yung Z490F, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, if you're watching Elroy, you're in the clear. Just go ahead and get your NVMe M.2. You'll be okay. I did see Juke Lord from Facebook ask, sino po in charge ng online chat? And he just wants to say thanks for being so kind and attentive sa chat support. Kasi si Juke Lord bumili nung H210i NZXT from us and then pinaship out pa dun sa Mindanao. And actually yung majority na nag-attend sa'yo is our new employee, si Jay. So if you're watching, you made Juke Lord very happy. Thanks for doing a good job. And si Rafael yung nag-train kay Jay. So, yun.
Good job, Rafael.
Passing on the skills.
That's why I was a bit worried nga. Did I handle him? I don't remember his name. Kanina pa ako tumitingin.
Clear.
No, yeah, we got his real name when he ordered. But yeah, I do remember the order. Gohan from YouTube asks, mas okay po ba maghintay ng R5 5600X next year sa 550k build ko with RTX 2060? I don't know, ano ba yung announced prices SRP dun sa bago? Hindi ko nasunod.
CPUs?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar.
I heard that it might be more cost efficient daw. I don't know the exact price. They said that it might, wait, the CPUs or the GPUs? The new AMD GPUs?
He was asking about the new AMD CPU, the R5 5600X. So like 15,000. But that's in the States. It's always more expensive here.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
And he's going for 2060 lang naman.
2060 50k build.
Right. Unless it's really accessible at the moment. My suggestion is always just get what you need and get what you can or what's available.
I agree. Ang hirap kasi maghintay kasi hindi mo ang daming uncertain eh. Kailan ba siya dadating? Magkano ba? So, if you can wait, better to wait. If you need it right now, what's on hand is the best option. Next question. Sir, ask ko lang po, pag no display po ba yung PC, pwedeng CMOS battery? Then he sent over some pictures of the CPU pins. I think Rafael was the one who asked na masama to sa pwede magtanong.
the if you look at the picture, the CPU pin is bent and it's burned. So RJ and I, we had a problem back in college about a bent CPU pin.
Right.
And it's possible.
Parang naalala ko to.
It's possible to fix the pin. What did you use, RJ? Yung credit card ba? Basta it has to be some kind of...
Yeah, I think it happened to me twice. And sama ng paglagay ko. One X3 Phenom and then one X4. So the X3 I used a really thin card. Wag naman time zone, medyo makapal pa yun eh. Like something thinner than that can slice through all the pins and straighten them out. And then if you have tweezers, that actually helps a lot. So
yeah, but imagine if you press it a little bit more.
Right, yeah.
However, I highlighted nga. Well, actually, when I told him the solution, he said, "Oh, sir, kaso may sunog eh." So I was like, okay, so it's bent pin and nasunog siya. So, I personally, as I was telling Anton, I would find it dangerous for the rest of the PC. Kasi nasunog siya for a reason, right? Something is wrong there, whether it be motherboard or our PSU. Kasi if you remember our last Pwede Magtanong, we talked about branded PSUs, and one of the important reasons why you should get a branded PSU is because even kung hindi na gumana yung PSU, at least the PSU did its job by protecting the PC from a major surge. Ito, I wouldn't advise sticking it back in, even if you fix the pin.
Right. It seems like it may be not naman dead, but yeah, it seems like a lost cause, because it could also be, well, it really does sound like the bent pin caused the spark or for it to burn. But yeah, it could be even something else before that.
Just on the topic of bent pins, di ba yung AMD mas repairable for bent pins? Alam ko yung Intel mas hindi siya, kung bent siya, it's really hard to get it back into a position na magamit mo pa. Parang I saw that somewhere.
I can only speak for AMD CPUs.
Yeah. But both times okay yung sa'yo, RJ, na naayos mo, di ba?
Yeah.
Gumana. Oo. To be honest, I've never been in that position, but yun yung kung nagbe-build ka, nakakatakot. Yun yung parang one of the most critical points, diba? Parang sinasaksak mo yung CPU and you're like, do the arrows line up? And is this the proper orientation?
Yes.
Parang kinakabahan
if you're for anybody troubleshooting, lighting is key.
and try not to sweat onto the motherboard. That always like, but I need proper cooling kasi parang kinakabahan ka talaga dun sa pag-install ng CPU eh.
But all CPUs, all CPUs nga,
Intel.
they are all Intel, the pins, di ba? All AMDs are flat na. Di ba?
Baliktad.
Ah?
Baliktad. Yeah.
Wait.
The socket type?
Wait,
the CPU.
the Ryzen 5 3600 is pins? Hindi ba it's flat?
Yeah.
3600.
Thank you to Karen for sharing the stream.
It's still pins.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
aren't they still pins?
I remember na... Oh, anyway.
We should get Gerald.
Oo nga eh.
Sorry, Mar, go ahead.
Yeah, parang may pins. I'm looking at it right now. The 3600X, parang may pins pa. Yung i5 9400F, yun yung parang circles na lang. So if Intel yung CPU niya, it's a really old one. I mean, relatively speaking. Sorry.
Right.
Two things. First, Anton, someone is saying that you're monotone. Parang it's only appearing on the left side daw. Can you talk?
My audio is monotone.
There we go. Parang it seems to be okay on my end. And then
Same.
second, si RJ, Robert, si Miss Bernabe wants to know what your camera is.
My camera,
Yeah. Sobrang ganda daw.
Logitech Brio 4K.
Oh, that is a nice. I've seen the reviews for that one. Parang,
I didn't mean to buy this. It's just that everyone else back in March, due to COVID, bought everything else.
Napilitan.
Oh.
Tim Lawrence from YouTube asked discuss NVISION monitors. To be honest, I've seen them marketed kasi mas mura sila kaysa sa exactly affordable kaysa sa usual brands, but I don't have personal experience. We also don't carry them in Hardware Sugar, so hindi ko rin masabi based on customer feedback. Do you guys have any experience? It's usually NVISION, and ano yung isa pang brand, Hikvision or HKC? HKC, diba? Medyo yun yung katapat.
They're all competitors. The three of them are competitors now.
For that market price, no? Yeah.
It's actually insane. I mean, I was tempted one time.
Me also. For HKC?
Yeah, 10,000 pesos for 2K resolution.
How big?
165 hertz, 32 inch.
32 inch.
And I was like,
one of our suppliers actually sells HKC. They're all sold out. And when I saw the prices, I was like, "Wait, solid." But and actually, there are a lot of reviews by other Filipino YouTubers, and they're happy with it.
Right.
Okay naman.
And it's thin, It's very, very thin bezels.
No, we're talking about HKC. See NVISION. I mean, have you seen any feedback?
No, but those go hand in hand usually.
Diba?
In price.
Daniel from YouTube asks best antivirus, and I'm always reminded by yung kay RJ. Ano yung
you could. It's gonna look like medyo 1990s or 2000s, pero super Anti Spyware.
Super.
Even the name.
Yeah, I always forget.
Medyo
the name.
skeptic pero 100% it works.
Yun. Next question. Sorry, medyo yung video. I just watched your video, blah, blah. My friend bought a new machine last weekend, the R5-2600 with 2x8 GB RAM. Kaso they're experiencing blue screen of death when playing games like Valorant. Di pa siya ganun kabigat yung requirements ni Valorant. They try to underclock the RAM from 3200 to 3000, but now it lags. So they're experimenting with 2.8 speed. You mentioned some video that Ryzen systems, Ryzen likes faster RAMs. So basically, he's asking, ba't ganito? Bago naman yung machine, R5-2600, tas yung RAM, 3200 MHz, ba't naglalag kahit sa Valorant na hindi naman ganun ka-heavy yung requirements?
Did he mention the video card?
No eh. He also didn't mention the brand of the RAM.
Right. Well, bought the new machine, Ryzen. Yeah, we have to know the video card model. That will definitely play a big role into lag or FPS issues, or
but
especially.
Anybody's problem is blue screen of death.
Yeah, blue screen.
That's the
so
worst problem.
Even if it's blue, if it's blue screen,
It still could be the video card pag masyadong mahina yung video card mo. But
you can blue screen if the card is too weak.
If it's not a lot of things, if it's not connected properly, if it's not updated to the latest drivers that are required for that. But let's just give the benefit of the doubt. Let's say it's a mid-range CPU, so it can definitely run. Blue screen of death, like I mentioned, that can be various things, from connection to let's say lack of cooling. So this, I think I would look that direction, especially if you just built your first PC. Was the thermal paste spread out evenly? Was the cooler attached properly? Was it seated properly? What is the RAM seated properly? So a lot of these things you have to remove and just insert back, because one key detail that he mentioned was he just built it. So that's where I would look for.
Yeah. And run benchmarks. I mean, if he feels na talagang yung RAM yung issue, he should run a mem test or something to see if they're in. Because inherently there is nothing wrong with pairing a Ryzen 2600 and 3200 megahertz RAM. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just on its face, diba? Dapat okay naman yun.
That's what I had 2 months
before
ago.
the prices of the 3600 went down, 3200 was the sweet spot for like a year ago. Nung wala pang 3600. Yeah.
And when there were shortages this year, everyone went for the 2600.
From Facebook, from Akira, I've been having issues on my PC. Recently, I've discovered my fan was loose and then FPS drops. The temps niya umabot to 98 degrees. He's been playing games like Dota 2 and City Skyline. The screen goes black and then the CPU is still on. And after cleaning the RAM, this goes on and I really can't figure this out. Hope you can help. i5 4th Gen RX 570. So the main issue is FPS drops, high temp, and the screen nagba-black screen. Pero on pa rin yung system niya. Sounds like a bunch of possible...
Yeah.
Temp ng CPU o ng GPU yung nagna-90 plus?
It doesn't say it. It just says na the temps reach 98 degrees.
Temps reach. Okay, that's pretty high. You can start off with super anti-spyware. It does sound like now compared to the issues from earlier comments, no, it does sound like that's a possibility. So actually recently what happened to my friend was he kept saying the disk usage or GPU was going to 100%, so it would shut down. I was like, well, what's wrong with it? So I checked it out and ran some malware software, and I found a miner. So
a miner?
Yeah,
You mean,
so
like a Bitcoin miner?
yes, so
crypto miner.
whatever he clicked somewhere, it was a miner that was mining for him, sending it to that hacker's Bitcoin address. So
Damn.
wallet pala, sorry. So yeah, so I took it out and nawala yung 100% usage. So yeah, you can start with that. You can start with a simple malware check.
If that doesn't work, definitely try to get your temps down. Yun nga, it's a bit difficult kung CPU or GPU, but try reapplying thermal paste. It could be a heat thing also. Like if your CPU is not being, I mean, assuming na okay naman, wala namang malware, baka your CPU is being taxed and it can't get rid of the heat fast enough. Kaya you might get hit by a black screen kung masyadong uminit din talaga. Although it could also be a driver thing. We've been hearing a lot of that na in particularly demanding games, parang nasa-stress yung GPU tapos magka-black screen. I've heard a lot of driver issues with that lately. So, medyo mahirap talagang mapin down. It could be a whole host of things. If anybody else wants to suggest other things.
I'll just bring back the original problem I had, which was tinask manager ko na lang. Nahanap ko na may program pala na, which I installed naman. I just forgot it was there. It's to, it was to help the scientists discover, help find a cure for COVID. You use like other people's PCs. But I downloaded it sa March and I didn't know it was there for 3 months. Ayan. And then sobrang init nga yung PC dahil dyan. So just task manager to see. Right now, actually, sobrang dali na. Alt control delete mo yan. Tapos just press their CPU or GPU and you see the breakdown of what's using it.
Next question from Stonefish Gaming. Pwede magtanong, magagamit pa po ba yung motherboard na mali po kasi yung screw na ginamit nung linagay sa case? Kaya yung screw ng case na stuck na po sa motherboard, na bent po ng konti yung motherboard, but can I still use it basically?
So he used a different screw.
Yes, to screw it dun sa riser. I mean, to screw the motherboard onto the riser. Yeah. Takot, like, I'm always also afraid, like, to mali yung paglagay ko dun sa motherboard, tapos mag-short kasi either tumatama sa case, hindi maganda yung pagkalagay sa riser. But in this case, kung kaya naman. I don't know, have you guys ever...
Yes, sadly, I have done that.
You also, ano?
Everything you shouldn't have done, I have. Yeah, so there are times where, like, let's say you lose one, let's say you try to get all 4 corners of the motherboard, diba? Or 6 slots. You lose one and you're getting anal about it. Yeah, there were times that I just used, let's say, a PC casing screw. That was an extra one that fit naman. So yeah, as long as it doesn't wobble, and as long as it's not loose, it should be fine.
I think here he did damage na to the motherboard. Eh. Parang like I guess he tried to take it out and pull it, so it bent his motherboard.
Napuwersahan.
Right.
So I guess pareho to dun sa CPU thing eh. Parang if you risk it, you should be aware that you could, if sira yung motherboard mo, it could fry your other components. So depende na lang. Either A, how desperate you are, B, if you can afford to buy a new motherboard.
What does he mean by bent?
I'm assuming yung
konti lang daw.
Yung konti lang.
Bend po ng konti yung motherboard.
Hindi ba what's really important there is that the motherboard is not moving? Kasi I mean,
that's it.
I mean, kasi just as long as it's there, diba?
And it's raised by the risers.
You're going to be shaking around them on the PC. Well, actually, then again, you might be shaking around the PC occasionally to clean it. But if it's not moving, diba? Okay na yan.
What if nasira niya yung rails? Like those silver metal things running across the motherboard. So just sufficiently na may connection na lang.
So how it's installed is another concern. Okay, makes sense.
Well, basically, try it. And kung gumana, good for you. Kung hindi, I mean, diba, basically, does he have anything to lose at this point? Kasi kung may nabent nga no rail, di siya gagana, like the power won't flow, diba? But I think, nothing to lose at this point kung subukan niya. And then, kung gumana, good. Kung hindi, well, hindi ka nung bago.
Pero caveat pa rin there's still a small percentage that could fry your other components.
If that means the option na lang is to look for the proper pin or the screw.
A lot of shops naman will have spares eh.
Well, you know, us we kind of don't sometimes. I mean, especially for like, well, I don't know. I guess screws are easier. I don't know, Anton. Do we have?
Okay, we have extra
spares for that?
Actually, bumili nga ako ng extra M.2 screws kasi yun yung number one na gusto bumili ng customer pero hindi niya mahanap yung M.2 screws na usually kasama niya.
Well, actually, I have
yung sobrang
have you?
liit.
Hindi ba the screw? You know, can't you just get those from True Value? Because they have so many kinds of screws eh.
Hindi, ba yung M.2 screws or I don't know about the case but generally they're a bit smaller than the usual.
Yeah.
Save one for me, Anton.
Yeah, we have a lot. I also bought SATA cables because that's the second next thing people ask for na. Bibili nga ako ng SSD or something pero wala na akong SATA cable. So, yan, marami sa shop. Yeah.
Shout out to Mark Paul, my schoolmate from DLSU Law. Thank you for joining the stream. And my answer pala to your question, Mark. Yes, the scientists really did a number on my PC. I hope it helped. That's why malapit na si Pfizer eh. Tumulong talaga yung PC ko.
Dan Will from YouTube asks, he has a Ryzen 5 3600 tapos yung mobo niya is the DS3H B450M. Should he change the motherboard kasi concerned siya na nagba-bottleneck yung CPU dahil sa mobo? The DS3H is kind of like a entry level, diba? Parang we've seen this asked before. But I'm not really familiar with the specs of that.
Diba, it has to have A320, 450, or 550, or X. Parang hindi ako familiar dun sa code na yun.
That's just the name they call the mobo. Yung DS3H.
Yeah, that's the more entry level nga.
Is that Gigabyte or Asus? I can't remember.
It sounds like Gigabyte. But it needs a GA.
Usually the entry level of Gigabyte is a GA something, GA,
right,
right. X5 for whatever.
I would say even before, of course, definitely look at the spec sheet. But before looking at the spec sheet, if you are not overclocking in any way, the RAM or the CPU, no, I would say from my experience, there's never been a time where I said or I experienced any bottlenecking because of a motherboard.
Just because it's a mobo.
Right, yeah. Even if there is, I would assume that's really the first level that you won't feel it na. Pero ibang usapan pag GPU na and CPU.
Next question from... Sorry, I didn't get the name. Oh, yeah. Which of these two CPUs would you recommend? R5 2600 or R5 3600? First time build for gaming. Tas actually sagot ko dito, if you can afford the 3600, why not? Parang it's more like a budget issue. I mean, they're both good CPUs for the price, for kung dun sa presyo. It just, for me, mas mabilis talaga yung third gen. I mean, no question. Kung kaya ng budget, 3600. Kung medyo you wanna spend money on other things, 2600. That's why actually sinama ko lang tong tanong kasi baka I'm missing something. Is there something like that would make you get a 2600 even though afford mo naman yung 3600? Right? Diba?
No.
If you can afford to buy the GPU you want, even if you get the 3600 and any other parts essential for you, yeah, it's really a budget issue.
Yeah, more than a performance. I mean, there's nothing about the 2600 that would make you think na, yun na lang kaysa sa 3600.
Let's just put it this way. The Ryzen 5 3600 has the most upgrade path. So if you're planning to ever upgrade to the NVIDIA 3000 series in the next 3 years, at least if you have the 3600, that is the minimum recommended CPU. So it's something that you want to invest in the future, talaga way down the line. That's something to keep in mind. But it's the 3600 among all budget levels is really the best value. So that's just something to really to consider. But yun nga, you will only see a graphics increase based on your GPU and the CPU. But if you're planning to upgrade your graphics card the next 3 years, and then you want to save, the 3600 is pretty good.
Yeah, just like with similarly, if you're asking that question, with the hopes of transferring the budget, so let's say if you're gonna cut or save 4,000 pesos from going 3600 to 2600 or even more, will that mean you're gonna put that 4,000 or savings to a video card? So if so, and my question would be if you're running 1080p, and then your video cards, let's say RX 580, definitely I would say you can go very far with the 2600X. You can even overclock it way past 4 gigahertz, and I suggest putting more money into a graphics card. But yeah, if like what everyone mentioned, if you can afford the 3600, depending on your graphics card, I personally saw about 20% or more increase. What was that? I was getting about 95 FPS on COD with a 5700 XT on 2K resolution. On high settings with the 2600X. And then when I upgraded it to the 3600X, I was hitting 140 to 165. So actually way more than 20%.
Laki oh, laki nung
Yeah.
performance gain
So
pala.
also, of course, it depends on the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a
Wait,
big difference between it.
COD.
Sorry.
You say Call of Duty?
Yeah. Multiplayer. Yeah.
Oh, that's significant.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
Like
if we're talking about Counter-Strike Global Offensive na mataas yung high refresh rates, yeah, that's not
Right.
that's
Yeah.
expected. But for COD, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's like 45% increase.
Yeah, not bad. Patricia De Vera from YouTube, shout out. Thank you for watching the stream. And Albert Danwell, thanks for sharing the stream on Facebook. Tapos si Ray from YouTube asks, ano yung headset na gamit ko? To be honest, nakalimutan ko yung, it's an Asus headset. Kasama siya dun sa laptop na pinahiram ni Asus. I
Nice.
forget what the actual model is. But yung laptop na to, grabe. May kasama ng headset, may kasamang mouse, may kasamang webcam na gamit ko ngayon. So talagang all-in-one tong laptop na to. We'll do a full review about it soon. But sorry, so it's an Asus ROG headset and hindi ko lang maalala yung specific model ngayon. Next question. I bought a brand new CV650 Corsair and he wants to test it kasi hindi pa kompleto yung rig niya. I have this old mobo which only has 4 pins so he can't connect it. He's connected the 24-pin mobo connector and powered up. Both had power but they turn off after 3 seconds and then turn on again and then turn off. Is this normal considering na yung 24-pin lang yung nakakonect?
So
It's
he
a weird
didn't
thing.
to try. So he didn't connect the 4 or 8 pin because of the limits of the PSU. Tama ba? Parang there's no cable.
Yun yung parang, I think he might have seen na, 8-pin lang yung meron dito sa PSU. And hindi niya alam na pwedeng paghiwalayin yun.
Right. Yeah.
Unless it's a very old mobo, pag super lumang mobo, it could be that it crosses generations of ATX. Parang it could be a very old version of ATX na since itong CV650, it's I checked it out, it's medyo one of the recent generations na siya. So it could be na completely incompatible na yung both. Pero 'di ba? I mean, the 8 pins are splittable. Parang
Yeah.
I've always had to split it to plug it in.
Even before, di ba? Parang hindi naman siya new thing na hindi na pala compatible tong PSU na to kasi yung CPU sockets na kailangan iba. Di ba parang I don't recall having a problem.
It always allows you to for the lack of a better term, downgrade. So the 8-pin can be split into 2 4s. Just like for video cards, you can split an 8-pin to a 6 and 2. So, yeah, he should be able to. Maybe we can check if that model of CV650.
I checked the website kanina. Parang wala siyang downloadable manual eh.
Yung CV650
sa website. Yeah, that's why I couldn't check kung meron siyang P4 pin. Baka naduling lang ako.
Pero di ba usually...
It's not in the specs.
We're hunting now.
Sa specs nakalagay lang ang generation ng anong generation ng ATX compatibility niya. Hold on.
You're right. It does not say.
Wala, diba? Parang so... Pero definitely may manual siya dyan. It's not sold without a manual eh.
Damn, who checks the manual pa nowadays?
Madalas natin siya checking manual sa installations.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry. That's why I'm not the one who installs the PCs. Design lang ko.
Actually, si Gerald nga, he likes researching beforehand. Like, kung bago yung parts na, yung di pa siya naka-assemble ng parts na yun, talagang mag-research pa yun beforehand para iwas gulat, iwas sakit sa ulo na, pucha, hindi ko ito compatible or ano.
You know, he might be right. I do see photos. I just googled CB650 Corsair and clicked images, and It's an 8-pin, but can only be split to 6 and 2.
Not 4 and 4,
Not
which
4.
is what he seems to need.
I don't understand either. Unless this is PCIe.
Meron siya.
Baka PCIe.
I saw something dito. EPS. Parang may
Oh no, I see it.
siya na
It can be split. It can be
4,
split.
4. And it's a standard, diba? Isn't that usually, diba? I'm
Yeah,
confused.
it can be split.
Yeah.
I was looking at PCIe, my bad.
So if you're watching, sorry I didn't get your name. Basically, plug in mo na yung CPU, subukan mo yan. Yeah, put in the CPU in the motherboard, plug in the 24-pin motherboard, and put in the 4-pin dun sa CPU socket, and let's see if it still works. Kasi to be honest, I've never tried it na naka-plug in na yung 24-pin tapos yung CPU socket hindi pa plugged in. So hindi natin alam kung normal ba yun na namamatay siya tapos mag-on ulit. Yun. But you do seem to have the capacity to plug in the CPU na, so that would be the next step. Next question. This is the mid-show question. Can you guys still remember the first PC rig that you owned and any nostalgic memories that you have with it? Let's start with RJ.
Definitely. Parang layo no?
Tagal na nun
2005, I think. Yeah, 2005. And that was after being PC-less for several years. Athlon 64. I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't know that. Athlon 64, I don't even know the speed. Jeez. I think the first game I installed was like Fear. If you know that.
I remember
Fear. Sci-fi shooter horror game.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually that was pretty demanding at the time. Yeah, that was pretty sweet. I got the cheapest casing I could get my hands on. And then yung speakers, yung medyo 200 pesos lang ata or 150. It's the ones you see in the
type na yeah.
So once you see in net cafes, usong net cafes nun, di ba? Netopia, you have Be Connected, dami pang franchise.
Marv, any nostalgia on your first
He said owned, diba? So it's something you paid for yourself. So
oh well, I don't know.
you still own a gift.
It. I mean,
you still own a gift.
Pero if it's a family computer, if it's not allocated to you, it doesn't count, diba?
Okay.
Yes.
Kasi that would get really old. I mean, that ano pa yun? DOS machine pa yata yun or something. But if something that I paid for, I built myself. Yeah, that was 2010. And yes, it's still alive. The only thing that has given up is the hard drives that I've had to replace. Though I do suspect the PSU might have some failing SATA connectors. But yeah, it's still alive. The video card is still alive.
Wow. What was the video card?
5850.
5.8. Wow. I remember
I
that.
bought the 5850 right before the price crashed because something new came out. So I bought it like at 12,000 and then the month after it was like 8. Inis na inis ako.
That's a good price.
The one thing I remember about it is that uso pa nun yung yung what's AMD's SLI Crossfire.
Yes. So you had another one.
I that's what I planned to do. So when the price dropped, I was thinking, now's the time to buy the second one. Para naman may sense yung overpowered PSU ko na 750.
Those are good times. Like, uso rin noon yung BIOS flashing. So AMD would, let's say I had a 4870, but then people were saying that, oh no, you can boost that up to a 48890. No. So you just go to like really shady sites, and then pray to God the BIOS you find works.
I remember those kind na di ka sigurado, di ba? Parang it's like, oh, maganda ba tong version na to? And and you could break it kung hindi maganda yung BIOS. Yeah, game over na yan. Parang medyo sketch. Back in the day.
Sketch.
I remember that my first PC came in a box along with the monitor. Parang it was already pre-assembled. Anton organized it with my parents, and then the graphics card I remember was a GeForce 4 MX.
Ooh.
And I remember the box, the box of that case featured Battlefield 2. And then sobrang ganda ng graphics sa box. And then also sobrang ganda rin yung graphics sa rin.
You got me into that game.
Yeah, Battlefield it's still, well, you know what? It was a better game until after Battlefield 4. After Battlefield 4, parang it's just been, actually no, parang after Battlefield 3, things are just sort of weak na. But the go-to games for me in the day, which was back in high school, was Warcraft 3 with that and Battlefield 2. Many days. And then yung sobrang laki ng monitor na box, as in, you know,
CRT.
It was a really it was a widescreen. It wasn't widescreen, but it was very big. So I had a very big monitor. So I guess
it's very heavy.
It was heavy. It was heavier than a TV.
Heavier than the whole piece CPU.
Yeah. I couldn't move it myself. At the monitor. Just looking back, just feels so strange.
That was the thing, 17-inch AOC monitor.
Malaki pa yung 17.
Diba?
For me, I won't be as strict in the definition, like if I owned it or something. But like, I really remember the first PC I had was like yung CD-ROM, 486, tapos CD-ROM. Tapos ang daming adventure games na magaganda eh. Parang Monkey Island, Doom.
Oh yeah.
Kaganda
Doom.
like that back in the day. Star Control 2. I mean, those are really good games. Parang I had a lot. Yeah, even up to now, I get nostalgic. Like you're on YouTube, tapos you see like gameplay nung Star Control 2 or nung Monkey Island. You're like, oh yeah, let's spend 1 hour watching these guys play.
Yeah. You let's play.
Yeah. So good times.
You said 486? Wow.
486
I
was
think
the
I had
first
386 rin eh.
Back nung parang simula pa lang nung Intel. They used to call them Intel clones pa, di ba? Kasi they were IBM clones. They were like basically you're copying the IBM with the Intel specs. And then after the 486 came the Pentiums, and then tuloy-tuloy. Wala pang AMD noon. Ganun ka.
Yung overclocking may button pa, di ba?
Yeah. Turbo. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Hey, maganda yun. Syndicate type games yung
Syndicate, man. Syndicate. So
Syndicate
good.
Wars.
Yeah.
Syndicate Wars, sorry.
Yeah, Syndicate Wars. Yeah.
Theme Park.
The original was Syndicate ata eh. Like, before Wars. Yan ata yung origin.
Parang second,
Two na si Wars.
I was hanggang Syndicate Wars now, which was a good game.
Even like RTS games started giving birth. Like you got StarCraft, you got CNC.
Dune 2, CNC. Yeah.
Dune 2000. Yeah, dami.
Hey Anton, you're getting a lot of comments about they can't hear you. Some people are saying that it's either too low. See, Hey Niva saying it's too low, and then a couple of comments above, someone was saying that they can't hear you at all, and then some other one was saying that they can only hear you on the right side. There's something weird with your audio. It's either we don't hear you, or we only hear right side, or ang baba ng boses mo.
Didn't somebody say left side pa nga? Up the gain sa OBS.
Ako naman, kasi we're on Discord, I can hear you perfectly eh.
Yeah.
It's called virtual surround, bro.
Left,
right.
All around. I've upped the gain sa OBS. Let's see if that fixes it.
See, Rafael Ismail says audio is just on the right channel. Your audio, but well, we can always fix that some other time. Just as long as people can hear you.
I don't,
Right.
yeah, I don't actually know. Sorry, this is the first time I'm using this headset. Pero weird naman na nasa right channel lang.
Could be the software.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll try to model around with it. Pero, yeah, let's get back to the stream. Si Albert Tre Blacks on YouTube asks, have you ever tried building your own custom mechanical keyboard and how much did it cost?
I see RJ yan.
Oh, yun.
Si RJ yan.
Anton,
Sorry,
This wasn't. Oh yeah, go ahead, Mar.
I just tried listening solely to the YouTube stream. I can confirm that on the left earphone, your voice is weaker than the right ear. Okay.
I don't know how to. Sige, I'll monkey
Ano yung
around with the
solution, man?
settings. But kanina tayo magtatanong tungkol doon. Sino mag-ayos yan? No, sorry, RJ, you want to say about the mechanical keyboard?
Yeah, actually, if you're looking into starting, there are a lot of affordable options here for DIY kits. But if you want something standard, I guess, or let's say that's built with quality, you can try KBD fans. I just ordered one right before the stream, but what I have here naman is a pre-made. This was talking to you about Rock. So this is novelties.
Oh,
so
is it wireless?
No,
or you plug in the wire?
I just took out the USB Type-C. So this came in just the board. So this did not have switches. This did not have keycaps. It's actually already pre-built by that definition. When you say DIY, it's literally, it comes to you in pieces. It comes to you in a PCB sheet, in two types of casing. So with that, and if you don't know where to go, I highly recommend KBD fans. They ship door to door.
Interesting.
Yan, bibili na si Marv.
Yeah, because yung first foray ko into mechanical keyboards, I don't know kung hindi lang siya kid-proof, but it's having a lot of problems. Parang I've had to replace. It's a TechWare Phantom, so entry level lang talaga. First the keycaps, yung stem fell apart. I don't know kung dahil hinampas ng mga kids and then some of the switches are now I had to replace, and now some of the lighting is acting up. Hindi na siya in sync. So,
but you said you had to replace the switches, meaning it's hot swappable. Like you can just take it out. Oh, that's great. Yeah, see, they're TechWare. Rack's a really popular brand. In fact, Nikki's looking for one right now. Those are two really affordable and accessible brands you can get for custom mechanical keyboards.
Anton, si Other Rocky said, right-click on the gear of your audio source and then advanced properties, then down mix to mono. I sent it via Viber.
Inside OBS? Inside?
I think so. Right-click on the gear of your audio source. Baka ano yan? Baka
it could just be Windows.
Right-click on the wheel.
Live tech advice na talaga to. Sige. I'll try to do that. But yeah, so yan yung keyboards. Actually, if you have any questions about that, RJ can do it. I've always wanted actually to get more into
on OBS nga. On OBS.
In OBS. I've always wanted to get more into the customized mechanical stuff. Pero it's really ang daming mga terms. Parang it seems sobrang
daunting.
Yeah, parang sobrang confusing to me. Parang daming like you need to know and things like that.
And it's fun. Just to warn you, it's a deep rabbit hole.
And once you go down.
Oh wow, this is nice. So what's next?
I actually I noticed it's in style now to actually make more than one keyboard. Then you display the accomplished keyboards. Para siyang puzzle.
Yeah, it's like a Lego now.
After you've made a puzzle, you want to frame it. So right. I know someone who has like 4 of them and they're behind a glass case and he just takes them out individually based sa feel niya. And I was like,
yeah.
all right, nice. That's your thing. And they look nice, but I'm like,
Nikki has 4 right now. And
well, how much is one? I mean,
it can really vary. It can just be $100.
That's not cheap, $100.
It can go to $600, $800.
$600-$800
Yeah.
for
For a
a
keyboard?
keyboard.
I just joined the raffle to try buying. I mean, if I did win it last night, congratulations, you can now spend
Is it
$600.
right? Yeah.
It's called Dixie Mech Bauer. So yeah, even Jed and Eric were trying to get in that raffle.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Oh my god, I didn't know that was a thing.
Yep.
And here I am, reviewing a Asus Tough Gaming keyboard and my Corsair K70. Tapos all these guys that are just making their own
Custom.
keyboards. But
Yeah.
your
But
audio
yeah.
is now okay, though.
Highly recommend this if
Thanks.
anyone wants
Nice, Rock.
novel keys.
Actually, I fixed it kasi tanga ko. Naset ko in Discord to use the headset, but then
Oh.
apparently you need to set it also in Streamlabs OBS.
So your audio kanina was using the laptop audio.
I don't know what it was
Microphone.
using.
No,
Yeah.
it must have been. It must have been. Kasi mahina daw eh. So that means, yeah, kasi in Discord, you need to set it differently eh. You can have it programmed to pick up a different microphone as opposed to what you've programmed on Windows. That's why I have to keep monkeying around kasi I have this, I have the cell phone thing. Great job.
Marvin actually warned me na at the start na palitan sa Discord, pero I didn't realize na kailangan palitan sa OBS.
Sorry.
One of those things. No, so
Yeah, it's all good. We're all learning.
Yeah, we're all learning. Next question.
Sorry, shout out to Jed Martin Cruz. Something about that, Ian?
Shout out.
Yeah, he said something about Satisfaction 75 tomorrow. Ano to? Hi, RJ. Sabi ni Jed Martin Cruz, Satisfaction 75 tomorrow. Ano yan?
Yes, sir. Okay, that's 480 USD.
The keyboard.
It comes with a rotary knob, which you can program to a lot of things you can program it to. Yes.
Let's go down that rabbit hole.
Yes, here, just to show you. This is what I mean if you just buy a board without switches on it or keycaps. So this is what this is literally called bare bones.
It's
So,
literally
yeah.
a board.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really a board lang.
Sige, next question from Tattoo Gaming. Yeah, sorry, these are the two questions on thermal paste. Kailangan po ba palitan thermal paste? And then, sa next question, okay lang po tanggalin yung heatsink tapos pagbalik, di nalagyan ng thermal paste. Wala pa kasing, wala siyang thermal paste on hand.
No.
Si Christian, you 1L. And yung sagot ko doon, no. All caps, no. You need thermal paste. And the panel will tell you why.
Are you sure we didn't repeat this question? Parang you posted this already to...
No, the last question was about... It was
I was gonna relate it to that. It was turning off, and that is a possibility that you do not have enough cooling, or if you're specifically for this case, you don't have thermal paste or not enough. I have tested it. Like I said, the things you shouldn't do. So the moment it hits your CPUs or motherboards, like bench, or let's say capacity, maybe 103 degrees, self-defense mechanism, it's gonna turn off.
Yeah.
So that'll happen very quickly if you don't have cooler, if you don't have a heatsink, and especially if you don't have thermal paste. So the moment it goes past desktop from boot up, like if you open the program, it's gonna shoot up. So make sure if you realize somehow that you don't have thermal paste in the desktop, turn it off and go to hardware sugar.
Please apply. Yeah, get thermal paste and please apply. Kailangan talaga yun.
You're gonna see so many videos of how much thermal paste you should apply. It's really just as small as a rice grain, right?
Pea size. And yun nga, as I said in the last stream, the thermal paste is the conductor. So even if naka-plug in lahat, the heat is not being moved away from the CPU towards the fans in the next build. It just stays there. So the thermal paste is there to help act as a parang vehicle para makapasok yung init sa conduit para lumabas sa fans. So if you don't have that bridge, then the heat is just going to remain there. It's going to cook the CPU. And if you watch the rest of our show earlier, again, you'll end up with a burnt out CPU. Or maybe, well, hindi naman, bent pin, pero baka masunog yung CPU.
Right.
John from YouTube asked, I don't know what happened to my generic PSU I bought last night. It was working fine. But after assembling all the parts, it's not working anymore. Ibebenta ko kasi, parang ibebenta niya yung rig. Ano po kaya cost nun? 2 araw pa lang, tapos sira na. So, it was working, but then when he assembled everything, it wasn't. Although generic lang nga. So, I mean, yung generic kasi, there's that fear na yun one day wala na, di na talaga sira na siya, parang di na siya gagana, and it could happen anytime. You bought it, the next day sira na, you bought it, tapos 5 years later okay pa siya. Yan yung things sa generic, parang hit or miss talaga siya.
Right.
Do you think
sorry, just to quickly, like, a possibility is, or like the con of having, let's say, a generic PSU lang is it's not true rated. I'm not sure if there are true rated generic PSUs now, but the last time I remembered, so if it says 400 watts, it's not really gonna reach 400 watts or capable of that. So just something to keep in mind.
What do you call it? We have problems with even with true rated power supply units. What more yung mga generic? It's as Anton said before, it's a gamble. So it either works or it doesn't. Yun nga, yung mga ibang Seasonic namin, we have to bring them back to the supplier kasi they only survived 4 months. Of course, on our end, we replaced it. But yun nga, if even a good brand like Seasonic doesn't survive, what about the generic? You might get lucky, but at the least, if your branded power supply unit breaks down, it won't break down the PC with it. Yung problem with the generic is that it might not protect your PC from a surge, and then you'll have to replace not just your power supply unit, but the whole rig.
Next. So just to go back to the thermal paste, please put thermal paste. Yeah. Ralph, pwede magtanong. Good motherboard po ba is one of the big parts sa pagbili ng PC? Or okay lang na medyo mababa spec ng motherboard, pero, and then, he'll save his money para mas mabilis na yung CPU niya? So can he scrimp on the motherboard to just boil it down?
Yes. So, for example, instead of getting an X470, the top of the line motherboard back when it was still the 400 series,
now X570,
he gets a B450. Instead of getting an X570, you get a B550. Diba? So for most use cases, that's sufficient, and then you can just invest it in a higher CPU or a better GPU.
I agree. Actually, I wanted to do a video na kailangan ba talaga yung sobrang mahal ng motherboards. Kasi even if you go through the other YouTube, parang there are features that not a lot of people will really use. So, magaling yung mga manufacturers maglabas nung, yung B450 medyo luma na, labas tayo ng B550. Or yung A320, ngayon may A5 something ata. Basta there's a new entry level, hindi na siya A320. There's a new entry level for the 5th gen Ryzen. So, but
I have a 3-step guide for the mobo. Okay, number 1, it must be compatible with the GPU and CPU you want. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, it must support the megahertz of RAM that you want. So even if the GPU and CPU are correct, but if it can only support RAM which is at 2,700 megahertz, then you won't be taking advantage of RAM which is 3,600 megahertz. And the third one is I forgot what the third one was. It was a good one. Those are my two. Third one is If you want ARGB or RGB, yung alam mo, yung B450, ano yun, walang ARGB. So if you're buying an ARGB fan case, kailangan mo ng B550. So yan, those are my 3. 1, compatible ba siya sa CPU at GPU na gusto nyo? Number 2, does it meet the RAM specs you need? And 3, kailangan mo ba yung ARGB header or RGB header lang? Yeah. Period.
Right.
And after that, you can skip.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree though. You can definitely skimp on the motherboard. I've done that since day one.
One last thing. Some people they spend for expensive motherboards for Wi-Fi. So far, we don't recommend the Wi-Fi dongles, but lots of our customers have been getting these PCIe Wi-Fi dongles that go straight into the PCIe slot. Does anyone else have any experience with that? They seem to be better though than the regular USB Wi-Fi dongles.
If you have a big space or you have thick walls, yeah, it's better to use the PCIe ones than the USB dongle ones. But if
do you think it's a comparable, Marvin, na yung, let's just say it's a mobo with built-in Wi-Fi as opposed to a PCIe Wi-Fi? Is it the same or mas maganda pa rin yung mobo with Wi-Fi na built-in? Kasi people want to skimp on the mobo built-in Wi-Fi.
If parang in that case, just get done without the Wi-Fi, then try the USB one. If hindi okay yung USB one, that's when you spring for a better PCIe one. And that should be better than whatever was on the motherboard for that price point.
Mga PCIe is only like around 1,000 pesos, sometimes mga 800 pesos.
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't trust the USB ones, which are only 200 pesos. But yun nga, I'm interested sana to carry the PCIe Wi-Fi dongles. They seem to be very handy.
Just back on the motherboards, Potato Fries from YouTube asks, which motherboard should I go for? Hindi naman daw siya mag-overclock, A320M or B450. And then, does the A320M boards, do they also have RGB fusions? Actually, I'll answer that second question. Yung RGB fusion, para sa Gigabyte lang yun. That's just what they call yung RGB system nila. So, may MSI Mystic Light, Asus Aura Sync, tapos yung sa Gigabyte yung RGB fusion. So, if you want RGB fusion, you need to get a Gigabyte Mobo. But yun, I think based on what the panel, what would you guys recommend? Need mo daw siya mag-overclock? A320M or B450?
Yeah, if it's compatible with the CPU, definitely A320M.
And then he also has to consider if he plans to upgrade his CPU then down the line. Kasi some A320s limited yung upgrade path. But some, I think, kaya pa hanggang 4th gen, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
One interesting trivia I read about sa A320, parang overclockable yung...
There are some.
There are some na parang the manufacturer just like, yeah, sige, unlock na natin, then sila na bahala. So parang, just something, but in this case, di naman daw siya mag-overclock, so di naman,
Right.
From Ezekiel from YouTube asks, RJ, what switch do you prefer? I think balik dun sa keyboard.
Right now, for context, I started off with blues, Cherry MX blues for 10 years. And then later this year, I don't know why, but I just tried Cherry MX Reds with the Huntsman. And then, after that, I started trying to learn more about custom keyboards, and what was accessible was Glorious. So I know there's a lot of debate or drama around Holy Pandas. Sorry. Anyways, it's somewhere there. But that's what I'm using right now. Glorious Holy Pandas. But I did try Zelios, which are tactile also. So I guess I love tactile switches, and right now, no bias. Glorious sounds really good and feels really great to type on.
And the name is nice.
Cherry MX Blue, for sure.
Next question. Ano po pa purpose ng iba't ibang kulay ng HDD or SDD? This is like a long question. Can you put FPS games on a 500 GB or 1 TB na hard drive or dapat pa sa SSD? I assume he means SSD. Pwede po ba walang video card? Let's each take one question. I think there are like 4 questions here, so swak na swak.
Perfect.
I'll take the colors. I think the colors is referring to WD. Yung WD may
Blue, red.
Yeah, green, blue, red. Yung green yung pinaka entry level nila, yung blue yung medyo mainstream. Tapos yung red parang pang NAS na nila, yung network attached storage. So generally, kung ma-afford mo yung blue is better quality than the green, but we've sold WD greens. Nobody's come back to us. You know, wala pa naman bumabalik sa amin na, uy, sirato or nag-fail siya bigla. So, even though the green is the entry level, okay naman siya based on our experience. But yung red, kailangan mo lang, kasi yung NAS, palaging tumatakbo yan. So, especially kung hard drive, naka-NAS, you want something that's longer lasting. Tas yan yung red system or red color nila, it just means na it will last longer than other hard drives. But usually, yun nga, ginagamit mo lang, let's say, in a NAS setting or paminsan, maybe sa CCTV kasi usually naka always on din yun. But usually more in a NAS setting. Next question. For FPS games, should they put it on an HDD or an SSD? SSD? I think we'll just all agree.
Yeah, I guess SSD.
I think we can all agree. If you have the space on the SSD, just place the games.
If you're playing multiplayer, competitive multiplayer, you definitely want. Actually, for any competitive game, you do want to put that in an SSD because of the load times. It really does help. I learned this. I think I've said this during our first ever episode, where I was playing Battlefield 3 with Rock.
Mm-hmm. Really?
And then
what's this? Okay.
And then I'm just loading the map, but I can hear people start to run. People are already running.
You're still loading.
There's already a score of like 5-2, and I can just hear them. I haven't even loaded it. So that's when I knew the power of the SSD.
Oh yeah, that was good. You know, I didn't even know that you had. You know, I had an idea that some people might have that problem because when the game is carrying over to the next match, I know that the server is full of 64 players. But when I get there, mga 7 lang kami, and then it's slowly piling up. But I'm always wondering, why am I here first?
Right.
And by the way, it feels great to be first.
Right.
No effort. You get to run first.
Right.
You can get to the spots. Yeah.
It really does help.
I think, in short, you should put all your important competitive games on the SSD. And then after that, yung mga maluma na FPS games can go on the HDD. Kasi really, I mean, it's an older game. I think you won't have a hard time with, especially if you're returning to it. Like it's an old game and you just want to replay it. You don't need to be competitive about it. Especially since SSD spaces on yan is sacred. Kasi right now, yung COD, I don't know, ano yung gigabytes ngayon?
Oh my God. It went past. I put it in one SSD that was 256. So realistically, it was 224. And then the day arrived, the update stopped and said, you cannot you cannot update further than this. So like, no.
So well, there you go, folks. You know, they sell SSDs for 128 gigabytes. And what more, yung kung 250. So, ayun, that's one game. COD will eat up the entire SSD. So, we recommend you get at least minimum 500. Ayan, isang 1 or 2 major games pwede na dyan.
Tapos yung last question ni Nivitech was, kaya ba nung walang GPU na system, so yung mga APU, maglaro ng FPS games? I think we talked about this before na yes, actually, especially the Ryzen 3200G, 3400G, they're actually quite good for the price point and sobrang okay performance sila.
In the 3200G on YouTube right now and put their Fortnite, ang daming mga YouTube videos sampling None, just the onboard GPU component, and it does well. In fact, every time we make a build, I teach CJ, our new employee, as well as I always do it myself, to send the build with a YouTube link of how it plays and how it games based on other people's YouTube videos of that specs.
Yeah, even laptops running in onboard graphics from AMD are playing very well.
Yep. So yes, definitely. So okay yung APUs, especially the new ones from AMD. Next question. Kapag overclock about overclocking the GPU, kapag yung GPU po ay overclockable, dapat po ba overclockable din yung mobo? Yeah, so he's basically asking, he wants to overclock the GPU, and does he need to have a compatible motherboard?
No.
Hindi, di ba? I don't think
No. They're separate.
Generally, yeah.
As long as the graphics card is overclockable, because there are several models that don't have the cooling capabilities, or just aren't built to be overclocked. Maybe 30 MHz lang, so you're barely noticeable. So you have to check that first. But to answer his question, no, they are completely separate. So the motherboard is what's used to overclock your CPU and your RAM, and the GPU is separate.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Christine from Facebook asks if she wants to slowly invest in building a gaming PC bit by bit. Kumbaga, pa isa-isa. I plan on investing on a gaming PC. Can you suggest like a list? Ano ba dapat unahin niya na components? Should it be CPU, GPU? Ang hirap kung walang time span eh. Like, is it in the next 6 months? But in general, like, what would you guys suggest na unahin niya?
Well, ako, if budget is an issue, obviously, because she's planning to do it piece by piece, why don't you just get the Ryzen 5 3400G? Did I get that right? 3400G?
Yep.
3400G. And then after that, you already have a CPU which can act as your GPU. And then you can upgrade the graphics by getting an independent card. The great thing about this is gumagana na yung PC. Kasi you saved on getting on a GPU by getting a CPU that's already built in. And later on, you can even make it faster by getting a 1650 Ti. I think kaya, right?
Yeah, I mean...
But the important thing is you don't even need to wait to get the parts together. You can already start gaming. And then if you want to upgrade, you just put in a new GPU in it. If you just get the GPU without a CPU, then wala, it's just going to sit there sa likod. I would rather start gaming than not game at all and then wait indefinitely. Even if it's a slow rig, I'd rather game.
Amen.
It's a long COVID, I mean, we've got the time. You're gonna regret not being able to game now. Talaga.
Right.
Now's the time.
Pero definitely, if she's literally thinking of buying one piece at a time, I would recommend she saves up first to buy it in batches. Parang there's no point in buying the CPU now by itself unless you come across a really, really, really good sale. Like for example, maybe the 2600s and etc. or the 3400G will go on sale because may bago ng generation, di ba?
Right.
So there's a small window where you can get it for sale and then it might no longer be available in stock. So if that's the case, then fine, buy the CPU. Pero yeah, wait until you have enough money to buy at least yung mga components na binanggit ni Rocky. The CPU, the motherboard, then I guess the power supply.
Yeah. For yeah, I completely agree. And for me, like, even if you're not gaming at the moment, I would even say there's also fun in the very beginning where you don't have the parts yet. Now's the time you can research a lot. This is a good time to research on the games you want to play. So there are tons of videos. Like, let's say if you want to play Call of Duty, what are the minimum requirements? If you're looking for a certain budget or a certain video card you already have in mind, maybe you can Google, let's say, if you want a 2070 gameplay of Call of Duty Modern Warfare. So things like that will really help you narrow down up to what you want.
If she needs help, she can just go to PC Parts Picker. They have a good budget list already, na pre-made na by professionals. They're 7.
Ian Cuevas from YouTube asks, what's the candy exchange rate for Steam points? It's 1:1. So, for those of you who don't know, every time you buy from Hardware Sugar, every 200 pesos, you get 1 candy point, and then you exchange the candy points either as a discount point or as Steam credit. So it's 1:1. So if you have 10 candy points, that's 10 Steam points or 10 discount pesos. Although yung sa Steam points, it needs to be a minimum of 200 kasi yun yung minimum ni Steam that will allow you. That's the minimum that Steam allows you to transfer. Ian actually just bought a lot of stuff from us, so thank you.
And thanks for the peanut butter. We actually just got it. We'll be featuring the peanut butter in another episode.
Yeah, but actually, I just want to highlight the candy points. We're the only shop na alam ko na gumagawa nito na may parang discount points based on what you bought. I mean, sanay na tayo. Yung National may ganon, yung Mercury Drug may ganon. But yung for computer stores, as far as I know, yung Hardware Sugar lang yung gumagawa nito. And we try to make it fun, so you don't need to buy it from us. Like, yun nga, you can exchange it and get Steam points because malamang kung bibili ka galing sa amin, gusto mo ng gaming, and you know, Steam is the way to go. Although I'm okay also with Epic Games, but some people aren't.
Can I say something first about loyalty points? Okay, guys, Hardware Sugar fans and everything. When I was growing up, I didn't know how to install pirated games. And my brother Anton refused to.
Piracy.
Yeah, talaga refused. And then wala. So we were stuck. So I bought every single game from Data Blitz. And I kept every box. I had so many. In fact, I have a picture somewhere. See, RJ saw the stack. So, and then I never got a single discount point or card from the store that I would get it from.
That's true.
And talaga, years. From high school all the way. From one store lang talaga. Every day. And then they even gave me a hard time when I tried to replace a keyboard. So, talagang, I was so devastated. And yun nga, no loyalty points for all those years of having all those boxes. I kept the manuals. Right. I don't understand why I kept the manuals. Oh, by the way, for all you younglings, games used to come in these boxes. Okay, and then you unboxed it, and then you get the CDs, and there's my CD key.
Right.
Okay, so gosh, I realized. Yeah, I guess I realized this generation will never know what that was like. Before, sobrang laki ng boxes, mga ganun. Diablo 3, and then they got smaller. And then finally, it just became the DVD box na lang. Wala nang wooden, wala nang paper, wood, whatever.
And now it's even a thinner DVD box, and when you open it, it's
just
it's
a paper. Walang CD, walang totoong CD. Yeah, grabe.
I have one right there, Borderlands 3. I was like, oh, okay, shift code.
Oh man, grabe. Anyway, that was about the points, the loyalty card.
Thanks to Max and RB for sharing the streams. Go ahead.
Yeah, they introduced like 3-4 years ago lang yung card.
You
said it.
Sorry.
How come you don't have a card?
I don't know. Maybe I guess it just wasn't. You know what? It's also marketability. I like how Hardware Sugar. Yeah, I like how it's candy, eh? You know, it's fun.
Yeah, bagay sa
And it's not just points. It's you can trade it for Steam points. So it's more we're trying to be more gamer friendly na instead of just
It's more usable.
instead of using it for look, if you bought a new PC, you won't be able to use the candy points. But you can if it's on Steam.
Right.
So we're not forcing you to buy from us.
Yeah, next question.
Right.
Pao. Oh, thank you, Akira Doi, for sharing the stream. Fully modular PSU, can I plug the PSU wire backwards? Specifically sa GPU ko. Right now kasi, he has the 6+2 pins visible through the case. One of those 6+2s is plugged to the GPU while the other set is just hanging down. I wonder if pwedeng yung 8-pin na lang ang i-plug ko sa GPU, then yung isang 6+2 yung nakakabit sa PSU para nakatago. It's a fully modular, right? Why doesn't he just disconnect the wire? The one that he doesn't need. Tsaka bakit backwards?
No, maybe it's split. So it's one going to the PSU, but it's split to two.
He needs two to go to the PSU?
No, like he wants to hide one 8-pin, correct?
He has right now there are two 6+2s visible, but one of those is plugged to the GPU while the other set is just hanging down. So yun nga.
Right, so it's connected. So it's split, and then only one cable goes back to the PSU. So it's like a Y. So he wants to just hide the unused PCIe 8-pin.
Get. Parang dun sa PSU side, it's one cable, then it splits into two. So he wants to hide the... Pero I don't get his point of switching it with the...
Wait, it's just aesthetic that it looks messy.
The other. I wonder if
Bakit backwards?
Because that's what I think. Because if you do it backwards, only one set
so the 6+2
of the PCIe.
The 6+2 is the one is the one plugged into the PSU.
Right.
Yeah.
So the daisy chain goes back to the PSU.
Parang that looks obscene,
So instead of Y, it looks like ganon. Para it's easier to hide.
Okay.
Pero is it easier to hide? Parang mas madaling itago kung ganito kasi you can just bend the
clip it away.
Arm of the wire. Yeah.
Pero
But
anyway,
I understand.
pwede ba?
I understand the concern.
I've
done that. I have done it. I don't, especially before, like I don't know about. There's certain PSUs that will color code it, so it's black for the connector or the pins that should go straight to the modular PSU, and then it's red and blue or colored for the ones that should go straight to the video card. But then there are several PSUs also that don't have, and there are no instructions either that they should be very specific to either one. And I have interchanged them before.
So pwede naman, kaya naman.
Yeah. It won't hurt.
Okay, you got it, Pao. All of the fully modular PSUs I've seen kasi aren't color coded, but I've never thought to flip them. Although, kung aesthetics talaga, kung habol mo the cleanest build, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Super Bunso, pwede nyo ba i-explain ang ECC at non-ECC memory?
Oh wow.
The last time I checked, it was so complicated. Basically, the takeaway I could understand was if you're not building a server or a NAS,
just don't worry about it.
Yeah, you won't feel the difference.
Yeah.
But I want a NAS. You mean like a DIY NAS? Okay. Okay. So sorry. Sorry, Pooper, pero sobra
it's out of the expertise of the experts.
No overpower kami. Parang
this is the only question in the short history of 5 episodes. Pwede magtanong na we have no idea how to answer it.
Pero in fairness, mukhang cute yung aso mo. So more power dun sa ano, kay Popper Bunso.
Popper.
Yeah. Paulo, shout out Paulo. Yung SSD SATA po ba pwede lagyan ng games? Yes. This is just a repeat of the stuff we've talked about before. Yes, we recommend that you put as many games or the things that you want to run fast dun sa SSD. And actually that was our last question, pre-canned. Tapos 11 o'clock na rin. I do want to take one more question from Facebook from RB, and the question is, planning to put up a startup business, same computer parts stores. Any tips where and how to start? It's you can actually find suppliers. We did our own legwork. We didn't know anybody when we started, but you can do. Google is super helpful, and then you can cold call, and the suppliers want to sell. So basically, basta mahanap mo sila, you approach them and you say, you're a retail shop, they'll sell to you, but usually they'll require the basic things like business permit and BIR registration and things like that. But for suppliers, you can look it up on your own. Yun nga yung ginawa namin. Other tips, actually, it's a really, to be honest, when we started 2.5 years ago, we really didn't know what we were getting into. But PC hardware fans talaga kami from the start. Pero wala kaming alam sa retail. Wala kaming alam sa business. And the first year was very quiet. Konti lang yung sales. But it's really like a snowball. It starts out slow at first. But you keep pushing. Yung Facebook, libre mag-post, post ka dyan. YouTube, libre mag-post, post ka dyan. And then yung customers mo, kahit konti, you take care of them. Like just recently, we had a customer, he bought a 1 terabyte SSD very early on, like the first 3 months in the shop's history. And then now, babalik, gusto bumili ng full rig na sobrang mahal. So yun, each customer is important. Parang you get the ball rolling. Kami nung nagsimula kami, free delivery. Umabot ako sa dulo nung NLEX and sa Subic. Like, alis ako dito 8 o'clock PM nung gabi, dadating ako doon 12 o'clock. Tas, to be honest, mukhang drug deal talaga kasi nandun ka sa loob-loob, gabi, parang madilim, tapos may pera, tapos pala pagtingin mo SSD lang. But diba, parang, it was really the early days were talagang hustle, and every customer counted. Actually, lugi pa kami doon kasi kami nagbayad doon sa toll. But, you have to start getting your name out there. So 2.5 years ago, we really didn't know what we were getting into. But Lazada and Shopee were super useful at the start. Ngayon, not so much anymore. Daming sakit sa ulo nung Lazada and Shopee. But sa simula, just to increase your volume and to get your name out there, Lazada and Shopee were super useful. Ayun, so those are just the basic tips. But there are very many ways to do it. You don't need to do it the hardware sugar way. Like ECPC started out, alam ko, parang second hand lang yun from China or something. But I think, I'm not sure if it's ECPC, but one of the big PC stores, parang yung focus nila sa simula, this really like budget na second hand, pero maganda naman, like okay yung quality, tas kumalat yung kumalat na yung pangalan na, okay pala dito, then sobrang nag-expand sila, nag-expand. So, you could go that route. Yung sa amin, yung gusto namin mas high-end. So, even sa start, mas high-end yung parts na stinuck namin. But, depende sa'yo how you want to do it. Yeah, it's been a climb, and really we're just starting. We have a lot of plans pa sana for the shop, and keep trying new things. Like itong live streams na to, sinimulan lang namin nung September. Maganda naman yung response, and super thank you to the panel who always devote their time on a Friday night. Buti nga COVID eh. Usually, I'm sure kung Friday night on a regular, kung walang COVID, parang itong mga tatlo na to nasa labas, nagpa-party. Ako lang nagsistream. Ako lang nasa bahay.
September lang ba?
We first started the live streams, in September.
It feels longer. So it was just last month?
Wow.
Well,
maybe first week?
Yeah. Oh, so maybe 2 months. Kasi ending of October, we started first week of September.
Wow.
iCruise from YouTube actually asked, do you ever see hardware sugar reaching PC hub levels? We want to grow big, no lie, but maybe not like that. Different kind of big. Maybe... Yeah, different kind of big. Yep. So
PC Hub in its early days.
Yeah, Marvin is a big fan of PC Hub in its early days. But now not so much, di ba?
Just a trivia on that. Nung PC Hub days, and I approached Anton about the idea of opening up a computer shop, and he said, no, I don't want to do that.
Oh, that was like 10 years ago. So how long ago? Yeah. But yeah, it was a long time ago. And kasi yun nga, parang even before, hindi kami masaya dun sa customer service ng ibang shops eh. So that was always, even sa simula pa lang, that was always top of mind sa amin, yung customer service. And we always try as much as possible. Like 95% of the time, we're pretty good. 5% we do make mistakes. We're still human. But we really try as much as possible to get you your bang for your buck and not to upsell you, and try to, and you can custom order from us. Although, to be honest, yung medyo masakit doon, parang we try our best, but our best is never good enough because there are so many of you and konti lang kami. Like, just now dito sa chat, I saw someone complaining na, ba't ba kayo nagta-live tech show and hindi mo naman nasasagot yung mga live questions? Sorry na po. We're 4 people, there are a lot of questions. Hindi mo talaga masagot lahat. I had a customer call me up last Thursday. It was 7 o'clock at night. It was dinner time. I was about to eat. I answered the phone pa rin, and he's like, I watch your show on YouTube. And I always ask questions, pero never mo sinasagot. But it's like, we try our best. But to be honest, it's really physically impossible for us to, just even for the show, to answer everybody, or in the shop to be like on top 100%. But we really, really, really try as much as possible.
And the thing about the answering everyone's questions, it's actually very important that we don't crisscross amongst each other while we're talking. Otherwise, this is not going to be a forum anymore for us answering questions. It will be like a palengke. We need to be slow when we answer each question so that it comes out clear. Otherwise, the show isn't worth watching because you can't understand what's going on anymore. So if Anton is answering one question and I'm answering another question, we won't be worth watching. I wouldn't want to watch this because it's just noise at that level because you can't understand what's going on also.
Actually, we should just have a spin-off series. Marvin will have his own series. RJ will have his own series. And then tayong dalawa, okay na tayo eh. Parang we don't need to do the technical. We can do that. Yeah.
If you think about it, we are 24/7 pwede magtanong on Facebook and IG. Like seriously, when you wake up, I have nightmares of RTX 2060s, the fans not working. What kind of dreams are these? But then when I wake up naman, the first thing I do at 7 o'clock is, oh my God, I gotta go and empty those Facebook messages talaga. And it's really an extension of pwede magtanong. Sir, ano yan, plano ko, bilito, kaso, ano yan, compatible ba sila? I mean, they're not even buying from us, but we're happy to help out. In fact, if you send us a message, we always do reply, except for the times that it gets sidetracked and placed in the red folder by mistake. In which case, feel free to send us a follow-up one day later if wala pa rin.
Marvin Ong from YouTube actually says, I'd just like to say thank you to you all. You've been answering my queries and messages on Facebook. And you guys are so awesome because you're so dedicated to what you're doing. So we really do try. Gempot23 from YouTube asks, kailan ba tong schedule natin? So actually it's every 2 weeks. So pwede magtanong is every 2 weeks. The next one is on November 13. Pero yung next show namin is yung In the Industry, where we try to talk to Pinoys in the industry. Kung gamer, kung business development ng pang-streamer. And actually, yung next guest natin this Sunday is super interesting. He's an artist and used to work for CD Projekt Red, which has been in the news lately kasi delayed na naman yung super anticipated game nila. But now he works for Massive Studios, which is a studio of Ubisoft. If you played Assassin's Creed, if you played Watch Dogs, if you played ano ba bang, ang daming mga franchise
World
ni Ubisoft.
in Conflict, hello. World in Conflict was the best, but everyone just forgot about it. I'm really frustrated. I'm gonna ask him tomorrow. Like, hoy, you tell your bosses now. You gotta bring back World in Conflict. It's the best RTS game ever. Great graphics. I can't believe it.
I've never played World in Conflict.
I was so good at that game. It was so addicting. When the nuke landed, talagang it looked like a nuke. If you look up YouTube videos on nuke landings, I think World in Conflict really has the best looking. In fact, it gets rid of all the sound when it lands, and it's just a and then slowly, and then the roar. Excellently done. I have no idea what happened. Well, what a waste talaga. I hope Massive Entertainment does something. But yes, we're excited to interview him.
I've never played that game. I've never seen you play that game. I have no idea what you're talking about.
It was great. It was great. Diba, RJ?
Yeah. I'm just watching him while I'm eating pizza.
He didn't even let you play. You're a spectator.
No, I tried.
Okay.
Definitely tried.
Don't remember at all. Okay, so we're gonna end with a message from Therese Oson, more power po, and double exclamation point and a heart. Yun.
Oh.
Yun. Alright, so thanks for watching Puwede Magtanong. We come back November 13. Please join us again this Sunday for In the Industry. 9 p.m. po tayo for In the Industry. Usually 3 p.m. Sunday, pero just for this one, kasi live from Sweden yung guest natin. 9 p.m. yung show. So, thank you so much, everyone, for watching, and we'll see you November 13.
And good night, and everyone stay safe. May bagyo.
Thank you, guys. Happy weekend.
Yeah, long weekend.
Weekend.